Hi, teammates. Oh, there it is. I wonder if you can see. Can you see my face? Yeah, you should be able to. Okay. All right, I'm going to model quickly how to write an interpretation. I know we talked about the steps yesterday, but I wanted to review it for those of you who are a little stuck or behind. So you should have your assertion written down. Your first paragraph, you should have two choice. So choice is your quote or your evidence, and then interpretation 1, choice 2, interpretation 2. And then you should have TDQ, choice 3, interpretation 3, choice 4, interpretation 4. So you're going to have 4 quotes, and then you need to write an interpretation that analyzes each quote. So the first step, so I'm going to just show you I have the steps here, but let's read my quote, and then I'm going to interpret that quote. So remember, the first paragraph should be about risks that the companies took, and the second paragraph should be incentives that they give their consumers. So my first quote is about the risk that Chipotle took. Let's read it. Steve Ells stated, comma, quotation marks, he moved to Denver, Colorado, and he opened the first Chipotle. In order to open the restaurant, Ells borrowed $85,000 from his father. Ells and his father did the math. They knew that in order to make a profit, they would have to sell 107 burritos a day. They end up selling 1,000 a day, and they make back the money. So I can add on to that. So first, my first step is to restate what this quote means in my own words. So literally, I'm just going to restate it. Let me just get rid of this. I'll just write it underneath, and then I'll get rid of the steps. Okay, so how would I restate this in my own words? Well, Steve Ells took the risk, I'm using this, the vocab word, of borrowing money from his father to start Chipotle. Thank you. Okay, so I restated and I summarized the quote in my own words. Now I need to go beyond the quote, and use a sentence stem. There are sentence stems up here that you could talk about the similarities and differences, but since I haven't talked about spider yet, I'll probably use that for my second interpretation. So right now I'm going to scroll down to the sentence stems about interpretation here. And I'm going to use cause and effect. Because of this decision, he was able to open and sell more than 107 burritos a day and pay back his father. So the risk paid off. That's also an inference I could make. This reveals that the risk that he took borrowing money paid off. So I'm going to add that to my interpretation. Oh, I meant to use a sentence stem. So the sentence stem was, this decision led to. This decision led to Els selling 1,000 burritos a day, and he was able to pay back his father. The risk he made paid off, I would say exponentially, which means like it continued to pay off, like in math, or dramatically. You could just say the risk he made really paid off, exclamation point. I'm going to say exponentially. I think I spelled it wrong though. Exponentially, yes. Okay. All right, so teammates, I restated what the quote means in my own words, and then I went beyond the quote. I told an effect. The risk that he took was a really good decision. It paid off. So I would delete these steps now, and we'll color code tomorrow. Next. Okay, so I'm going to have another choice here. I'm going to show you how to interpret it using the sentence stem from above. So I'm going to have a choice. Choice 2 is going to be about the risks. That's a risk that Spider took. So I'm going to go to my Spider reading up at the top. I knew that he sold his company so that he would have enough money to help it grow. So this is a risk that Spider took. I know it's kind of a lot of sentences. You could shorten it. I'm going to put it for my choice 2. So here's my quote. And this is, I'm going to say according to reading. According to, well, Jacobs. Because Jacobs is the head of Spider. So I'm just going to say his name. According to Jacobs, and then I put it in quotation marks. And I'm going to cite it. Box 3. And it's box 4? No, it's box 3 reading Chipotle, or Spider reading. Spider reading. Okay, so that's my quote. It's all about the risk that he took borrowing or selling his company and then having to buy it back. So this is where I will compare and contrast in my interpretation. Now that I already have a quote about Chipotle and I have a quote about Spider, I'm going to use a compare and contrast sentence stem from box 6. So make sure you use at least 2 of these sentence stems. I'm going to say they are similar because they both took major risks to expand their companies. Both companies borrowed money from investors. So I have my sentence stem about how they are similar. I would probably actually need to add a sentence above here, just restating the quote. So I need to go back and just restate this quote in my own words. But here's my sentence stem. Chipotle and Spider are similar because they both took major risks to expand their companies, and they both borrowed money from investors. So that's my interpretation. I just have to restate the quote in my own words and then use the sentence stem to go beyond the quote. You can use the sentence stems below, give a cause and effect, make an inference. And then you should also use, for interpretation 2 and interpretation 4, because this should be about incentives, you should use a sentence stem from box 6 about the similarities and differences between the 2 companies. So restate the quote and then use a sentence stem to go beyond the quote, and that is how you write a great interpretation. Good luck, teammates. Message me if you need help, and I'll be in Zoom today to help you as well.